Players show.
Well, you can. It's a pilot, so you can. You can do it
Well,
like the regular way.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
I'm Brent. I guess I could say my name because I am still
that
Brent Leary.
change.
Yeah, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
And we are the CRM players. I mean, that's
what we've done is check boxes that are true.
But what's not true is this is not an episode of CRM Players. It kind of feels awkward.
It's like that. Sort of a CRM Players presents kind of thing.
Oh, it's a PPN preemption of a CRM Players event for a PPN pilot.
But there is the sub brand of CRM Players presents, meaning it's not us directly, but it's things that we're effectively the I don't know what to call them, not the sponsor of, but you know what I mean. Like we're the primary of.
I'll just go with it and say, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not CRM Players, but it is a PPN pilot for a show that we are going to. Well, it's a code name because it could change if we do like what happens here and we want to go forward and not just do pilots and do real shows. It could be named something. So we'll just call this code name pilot episode of something we're saying is called Last Call. But before we get into that,
I'm already confused.
Who's on first?
No,
just kidding. All right. We actually have that person with us. Anyway, before we talk about what we're going to do right now, I do have one housekeeping.
A CRM Players housekeeping?
A CRM magazine Players.
Wow,
that's just a lot.
We're really in trouble now.
Anyway, before we jump into whatever skullduggery we're going to be involving here.
Wow.
Monday, August 31st. I cannot believe next week we're already into September, but it is the case. But it's also the case that we are doing for the fourth time. Doesn't even seem right. We've been doing it that long for this.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But what's so good?
The CRM Magazine Awards, the 2026 CRM Magazine Awards. You want to know who wins first? You got to watch us. You got to go through us. Sorry about that. That's the way it is. So 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, something like that. 2026 CRM Magazine Awards. We will be joined by publisher Bob Fernickes. You know, I still feel bad about basically butchering his name for 20 years before he told me.
It's probably time to put that behind you.
I guess so, but it still feels bad. And it also, because I also butchered Lynn Klee, because I was calling him Kyle for some reason. I was dyslexic or something. But anyway, we're going to have both.
Kylo Len.
We're going to have both of those dudes on with us to do the official reveal of the 2026 CRM Industry Awards. And this marks the 25th anniversary of the awards themselves. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And if you want to know,
kind of a big deal. This is the longest standing award in the whole industry.
Probably, let them get a chair or something. I'll take a rest. It's 25 years. Anyway, I know we're corny, but the awards are going to be great.
You're corny.
The awards are going to be great. We can't wait to do the show. We got a couple of little twists and turns because it is the 25th anniversary, and there is some history that we're going to go through as we do these awards. So mark your calendars, August 31st, Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern, and join us if you want to see who the 2026 award winners. Can't go anywhere else. You can go right with us to do that. All right.
And look at the comment we got as a result of all of that conversation.
Yeah.
One word.
That's you doing that. So okay.
No, I didn't do that.
Who did that?
I'm guessing one of our
somebody who has our login is doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, well, those are all coming from internal things. All right. Anyway, join us next Monday for CRM Magazine Awards. All right. I think we're ready to go forward because we are now doing the pilot of something we're calling Last Call. First, before we get into this, I would just like to sincerely apologize to Dave Smith,
aka Lou Gossett Jr.
Well, he is a much better looking human being than that thing.
And frankly, than Lou Gossett Jr. for that matter.
I mean, I like Lou too, but
No, but I'm saying Dave is much better looking than Lou Gossett Jr.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll go along with that. And I'll also apologize to Shashi Bellamkonda, who will be joining us, I believe, on the second shift here. He looks like he's 7 foot tall there, and he's got an extremely long neck. That's really not the case. That's just AI messing things up. So we will apologize to him now. And when he comes on the show, and you will all see that Shashi's neck is nowhere near that long.
Nor is well, you won't be able to see he's not that tall though, but
yeah, well, yeah, that too. All right.
But take our word for it, he's not.
So let's set the stage. What we're doing here. This came out of just a coincidence. I don't know. It's not a coincidence. It's it's not an epiphany because it ain't that deep. But we realize here on the PPN that wow, we got more shows than just the CRM players. we got a lot of shows, and we got a lot of great shows, and they are hosted by a lot of great individuals. And these great individuals on these great shows are having fantastic conversations with great guests. Man, I'm already out of superlatives. I don't know what else I could do.
Well, great works multiple times.
All right. So what we wanted to do is since we do have all these great hosts and they're industry experts, insiders, thought leaders, you name it, they're it. And so we thought, why not do a show where we just bring all the show hosts together and talk about whatever they want to talk about, the hot topics of the month before we move into another month. So we decided we're going to shoot this, or not really shoot, just broadcast. We're
not really bad choice.
I don't know. Let's go back to the CEO. Hi, I'm Brent. No, I better not. All right. So anyway, we're doing because there's so many of us. I think there's like 10 that are going to be on, and there's even more. We're going to have to split the show host into two groups of people, and then the first shift is going to get started right after we're done kind of laying the land out, and we'll bring them folks on. And then we're going to just talk about whatever is moving us, what maybe it was something that was said on a show or something that just happened recently. A lot of stuff just happened recently. I mean, like since 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where we go. We're going to bring that group on first for about 25 minutes. Then we'll bring the second group of hosts on for another 25 minutes. And we'll see, where we end up. Probably just tired of talking to each other, but we'll give it a shot. So any last things before we bring this on and start the?
No, I mean, these are, keep in mind one thing, not only are they thought leaders, they're our friends too. So this is a group of very collegial human beings. So, and yeah, at the same time, people of firm opinion. So never know where this is going to go.
So they all want to
what they have in their minds either. We're going to find that out though.
And hi, Jordan. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing, man?
You're going to see what's going on in just a second. All right. So without further ado, I know I couldn't help myself.
You just said it about 10 minutes ago. We're not corny.
No, then you said I was. So
yeah, you were. So
all right,
you go.
Let's bring out the first group, so I don't have to be corny any longer. All right, and I'm making. You know what? It's kind of bad of me, but I got to make sure we get the actual right group. So right now with us, in alphabetical order by first name. I think that's. I
hope you get their first name.
Man, I didn't really do that.
I hope you get our friends' first names right.
All right, first is Christy Tupper. There's Christy.
Hey, Christy.
And then RS, but M comes before R and S. So that would be if I can only get this thing working. Mike Fauscette. Mike Fauscette. Here he is.
Known him since 1990, what, 6? 96.
Happy anniversary to you.
30 years. You and me and Zoho are all the same age as far as the relationships.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you guys can discuss that later. Next up, we have the one and only Oh, I should be saying hosts of what their shows are. So
That's a
both
good idea.
Christy and Mike are co-hosts. Like there's like 10 hosts on that thing of in the hot seat, and they actually just got done doing an episode because they usually come on Thursdays at 12:15.
Yes.
12:15. Yep.
You just had to be different. Couldn't just be on the 30-minute. Yeah, just
This makes this
Just to
interesting.
keep
Frank.
people
Just
on
let it
their
go.
toes.
Right.
Come on.
And last and certainly not least, the relatively new host of he's our second newest show because our newest show is Steve Reese. But this is the he's a longtime friend, despite his sports proclivities.
Yeah.
Got to put that out there. He was a longtime enterprise tech reporter for TechCrunch, the editor and publisher of FastForward, not just the newsletter, not just the blog, but now a show on PPN. Ron Miller. Hey, Ron.
Hey, guys.
There you are, sir.
I will say that I'm a little bit offended by both your taglines, but I'm going to let it go.
Well,
I admire just seeing this
Especially yours,
tagline for the
Paul.
second time. This is only the second time this tagline's ever been shown. My first one was Nixon 5. Yeah, fact, not fantasy. Right?
Oh, God. Oh.
I mean,
Right.
it only took, like 50 years, so okay.
It's okay.
You get that.
You know how it works. The last is the last.
And we'll just do a quick shout out to Christine Randall for
Thank
joining
you.
us from Service
Thank you.
Now. Thank you. All right.
I didn't know there
folks.
was such a thing as corny in a good way, but thanks anyway.
Yeah, she's trying to be nice. All right.
Yes, she is.
So a lot has happened this month in the world of tech and CX and SaaS and apocalypses and all sorts of acquisitions and stuff. Shoot, not just this month. We're talking like the last 24 hours.
Yesterday afternoon.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave it open to the floor and say, what do you guys want to dig into first?
I like the Salesforce Anthropic partnership. I don't know about you guys.
What a shock.
Claude Force?
Claude Force. Okay.
I actually just wrote something about this before we went on the air for my newsletter tomorrow, and I was like pretty facetious about it. I'm like, Claude, Salesforce, get it? Because
Right.
it's kind of a silly
Yeah, the name
but-
could have been a little better. I'll go there with you.
So net, what do you think?
I think it's good for both companies, honestly. I do. It's sort of an extension of, the Headless 360 announcement that they made, I think, in April, and then they extended that last week. I wrote about both of those in my newsletter. And actually, after our IRL event and a conversation with Alan Berkson, I wrote a commentary called Headless Everything. And it turns out that it is actually turning into headless everything. And this is a big part of Salesforce's strategy. So for Salesforce, obviously it gives them a good partnership with one of the premier AI labs and, kind of takes them out of that to an extent, relying on the interface and the per seat license problem that investors are seeing. So that kind of should please investors, and it did. I mean, it was what
It's up 20% today.
I was going to say 18% overnight. I haven't looked at it this morning.
Last I saw, it was up 20%.
And then for Anthropic, obviously they're going public in a month or so with this ridiculous numbers that they're putting out there, which is another thing that we could discuss. But, ultimately, Anthropic has to prove that it has enterprise chops. It hasn't really done that to a huge extent yet. And a partnership like this gives them some, street cred with investors who may be looking for large customer support to kind of drive those numbers that they are putting out there, like $30 trillion total market.
In the meantime, they'll have to spend about 20 trillion just to get anywhere to begin with. Right. So to your point, though, I think the value to Anthropic, and one of the things that caught me as interesting and also interesting for what it meant for Salesforce was that Claude is going to operate as the intelligence layer inside of Agentforce and other Salesforce, parts of the platform. And that's also, on the one hand, to your point, Ron, that means that's how they're going to prove their enterprise chops operating with that level, as a literal core, the core intelligence. The other side is, though, it's kind of an admission by Salesforce of, okay, there's something better than us out there, from the standpoint of the actual, reasoning that they were using an agent for. So that struck me as interesting on that side of it. On the other side, it's a bit of a test too, if at one level, because it's being approached as if this has been a gigantic, Salesforce wide. I'm not saying Agent Force here. I mean Salesforce, the company with all the clouds and so on, wide effort. And if you actually look at what's being embedded on the Claude side, it's basically 37 sales microservices that you can use, and using Claude as your interface, so you don't have to go into Salesforce. So it's focused in one specific part of what Salesforce provides, which is a core part, obviously, but that's not as unlimited as it makes it sound, I guess, is the way I wanted to put it. So I'm not saying it's bad. I actually think it's a smart move. That's the way you can kind of test the waters too. And you're testing in the most important area too. The idea of using another interface, as opposed to the Salesforce interface, that's not any big thing, honestly, even if it's an AI interface. I mean, the reality is using other interfaces has been around for 20 years. There was a whole industry that failed completely devoted to it. A market, rather, failed completely devoted to it. I can't think what it was called, though.
It turned a sad face into a hugging face. Anyway,
that's the corny approach to go to the next thing.
I want to ask Christy, if you had to choose the biggest winner of the two, would it be Salesforce or would it be Anthropic? If you had to choose the number one winner in this particular partnership,
I would totally choose Salesforce because they're getting Claude.
Yep.
I have never made any bones about how I feel about Salesforce's user interface. So the ability to interact with Claude, which I do on a daily basis in a very friendly and easy manner, just to get to the Salesforce information, they win.
Mike, so you both said it quickly. Why so distinctly was Salesforce the big win? Anthropic seems to be winning a lot too here.
Yeah, but think about it this way, and I've written about this, talked about this for a couple of years. The enterprise apps are going away. No, they're not. They're moving behind the scenes a bit, so they move back a layer. You put a conversational layer on top of it, an AI layer, and that becomes this new interface, because that's in fact how you work in a natural way when you have digital teammates and human teammates, and they work together. And as Christy said, let's be honest, most of the enterprise application companies out there, the UIs, they were great in 1995.
That was even before you and Paul knew each other. Jeez,
that's the year before. Actually, that's when it was good.
Right.
Yeah,
Mike and
after
I transformed the industry.
Not so much. But no, I really do think that from a Salesforce perspective, this makes a lot of sense. And they've been pushing for a while that Slack becomes their UI or their front end. And this is just kind of a natural extension in that idea that, okay, and now a lot of companies use Claude AI. You've got the AI that sits up front. You've got agents that are taking actions already. That interface makes a lot of sense. It's a natural way to interact. And then you still have the business logic, the data, all those things underneath that you have to make this function in an enterprise application world. But the front becomes the AI.
So, Ron, I see you rubbing the beard. What are you going with Anthropic, or are you sticking with the rest of them with saying that Salesforce is the biggest one?
Hey, I mean, when it comes down to it, it gives Anthropic a little bit of a lift at a time when they need it. But I agree with Christy and Michael that Salesforce really needs this. They need it more than Anthropic needs it. But both of them, this is part of a much larger picture, I think, than say, just one or the other being the winner. Because Salesforce is going to partner with much more broadly than just Anthropic, and Anthropic will partner much more broadly than just Salesforce. But it gives them both this kind of launching pad that maybe they were missing, that where they can start to make something happen with this. And as Christy said, you know, I mean, obviously being able to ask questions of the interface rather than doing, I mean, all I've heard from people who use Salesforce is how obtrusive it is. So you know, it's just never been easy to push all those buttons and pull all those levers, and you know,
Right.
and
Yeah,
them that kind of chatty interface combined with Claude Cowork that really makes things happen. So I think it's a great thing for Salesforce.
Yeah, I actually think the real winner here is the Salesforce customers, by the way.
Right.
And I don't think
Right.
it's necessarily a bad thing for Anthropic. They are going towards an IPO, and you know, visibility is a good thing at this point. So sure, it's beneficial to them. But I just think that in the end, the end user is the one that wins on this one.
So I
And
want
I
to ask
think
the
it's a
venerable.
much-
Oh, go ahead, Christy.
I was just gonna say, I think it's a much better interface than using Slack. I think people are so tired of Slack and all the Slack messages and Slack channels. And Claude, I think, is still a little bit newer than that, and people aren't quite as tired of it yet.
Well, but the Slack forms an important layer and something that you're going to continue to need, right? You need humans to be able to work with humans, and you need human and agents to be able to work together somewhere. So having a collaboration layer, that still makes a lot of sense. It's just for a lot of the natural work that you do, you're not necessarily reaching out to another human to do it. You just need to execute something, and if you can do that in a natural way, why would I not want to do that?
Yeah.
Well, just to your point, really, Mike, it's like, I mean, and Brent and I have talked about Slack. Both of us can't stand the interface of that thing. You can't find anything anywhere, right? So now you just basically will say, "Where is this?
Where is it?" That's exactly right.
Right,
Exactly.
and that is a huge difference because
Is Slack even needed here if we have Anthropic as a layer? I mean, then you communicate with Claude, which tells you where everything is.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
how
a great
much
point.
do you need Slack, at least as a work layer? I mean, you still need it as a worker-to-worker communication layer,
collaboration layer. Yeah,
but
I completely
do
agree.
you really need it for everything else it's become?
No.
You know?
Yeah.
No.
All right, so I need to ask the venerable Paul Greenberg before I move on. Is it Salesforce? You're gonna a clean sweep? Salesforce is the bigger winner in this particular deal, or does Anthropic get
it's
it?
also they are, and for a lot of reasons, you know, and the biggest reason actually to me is, and it's the one I kind of implied earlier, which is the fact that they're actually saying, okay, well, Claude is basically a better intelligence layer than what we have, and we're going to use it is really important, right? Because most companies, let's put it this way, and it includes Salesforce too, most companies have a very hard time doing that. In fact, one of the few companies that used to do it in much lower level was Adobe was willing to do things like that. Why they integrated with Microsoft, and you know, for a lot of reasons. But this is a big deal. That part's a big deal. It's not just
I thought you're going to go,
but it's the reasoning itself.
I thought you're going to go Joe Biden.
No.
All right,
I let him rest easy, man.
All right. So before we bring on the other crew, there was another, and by the way, Salesforce is still up around 20%, which is incredible.
Which also tells you they're a big winner in this one.
Yeah, they are definitely winning big here today. But they're not the only one winning big, because there's this other kind of a big company. It's called NVIDIA. I don't know, have you guys heard NVIDIA, who announced they doubled revenue, which is kind of
more than double.
Yeah,
more than double.
actually more than double,
because they needed it. They needed that extra money.
So I looked, I was like, because all right, I do own a few shares, not a lot, but so I was watching this.
That's all it takes, Brent.
Well, point of fact, I was watching one of these CNBC shows, and somebody said that almost half or around half of all NVIDIA employees are now worth at least $25 million. So damn it, I wish I had got the chance to work there for a little bit.
Listen, man, I have a friend who ran a sporting goods store. I literally have a friend who was a manager at a sporting goods store, but bought NVIDIA about, I don't know, 15 years ago, whenever it started. Wow. And he's got 7 figures worth of NVIDIA right now.
Wow.
All right. So
Brent, there was one other thing hidden in that earnings announcement, though, that I thought was really interesting, and I talked about it a little bit on my show this morning. That underneath that, they said that that the executed price increases were already signed and in place for next year.
Yeah, so they're on a huge roll. They beat by $4 billion. Most companies don't make $4 billion in like several years. They beat expectations on a quarter for $4 billion. Just let that marinate a little bit.
Yeah.
But if that wasn't enough news from them, like 2 a.m, I don't even know. I was watching some old rerun or something, but I get this notification. Nvidia just bought Hugging Face for $12.9 billion.
Is that official yet?
No.
Well,
No.
The number's not official. The number's not official, but the acquisition is.
Well, this is the number that was reported by the information
It's reported. Yeah,
Seeking
exactly.
Alpha and all these other outlets.
Yeah, only 85 times revenue. I mean,
Yeah. But Hugging Face,
my guess is that
It's a pretty
that
good multiple.
The Justice Department might step in on that one.
yeah,
And-
maybe.
or
They
at least
might. But guess
Maybe.
what? Isn't Jensen kind of buddies with the
Yeah, that's
person
why
I like to
said,
call the
maybe.
resident? I call him the resident. It's
Well,
just
he might-
I
He might
don't
get
pronounce
away
the
with
P.
it in the United States. It doesn't mean that he'll get away with it in Europe, or the UK. I think that this is not good for the
Interesting.
industry at all, and that you have so much power centralized in one company is getting a little ridiculous, and then they get to purchase another adjacent company. This is when you want government entities to start to step in and question whether too much power and too much money is being centralized. And quite obviously, the numbers that Brent gave, it is,
These numbers are like, remember like when we were young and we used to go to the arcade and these are like game show numbers that they're putting out. And like you said, they seem to be getting bigger. I mean, they're already worth over 5 trillion. And they're up 12.5. Wait, I think they were up about 20 points today. So that's, I think, for them about 7 or 8%. But when you're worth 5 trillion, that's a lot. All right. We've got one more. I'll give you guys one more before we bring on the other crew. Let me go to this other visual if I can do it. Let me get rid of this guy and bring this up and see what you guys think about this. Or should I ask you? Maybe I'll quiz you.
Uh-oh.
I'll give you guys a little quiz. So I asked Gemini, what were the top 5 most important acquisitions, AI-related acquisitions
You told me these.
of the year so far? Do you wish to take a guess, or do you want to just have me bring it up and let you guys chop it up for about 5 minutes?
I know the Stripe one, which was just last week, right? That was a big one.
That was a big one, but not big enough.
Really? Not big enough. Didn't make
I didn't say I said most important, not just big, but important. All right, you guys are taking too damn long.
No.
That wasn't this year. Google didn't purchase Wiz this year. Did you say
What?
this year?
Yeah, I said it's acquisitions of 2026. Man, this Gemini shit
Little
stuff.
hallucination there for you.
That's definitely. That's why we need humans around like Ron Miller, making sure we don't mess up. All right, so I don't know what. That's 32 billion. That's a lot. Anyway, so we had SpaceX, and that cursor one was 60 billion.
I mean,
that
was kind of a questionable one too. It wasn't really an acquisition so much as an absorption.
Absorption, yeah.
Well, remember they went public. And like they had that $1 trillion valuation, and then they bought SpaceX. So they really bought it with money that they don't even have right now, but they made good use of that couple of weeks of having that very high valuation. So they were able to buy. I think that's a really important one. Of course, Nvidia was just last night, and Apple acquires Q, or is that it's QAI? I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah.
What are the ones?
That
What are
is-
the ones they're
That
missing?
is actually smaller than the Stripe acquisition of the Hugging Face-like platform. So,
Which one would you put
Well,
up there instead of that? Then
yeah.
Salesforce Fin's bigger too. I that one's
What was that one? Was that
It was like 3.2
3.2 billion or something?
Wait,
something like that.
Are
Yeah.
we talking about the most expensive, or are we talking about the
Well,
Most important
Impactful,
slash
maybe.
impactful.
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question, because this is a real question. Why are these the most important? What makes them the most important? What is it about? For example, Ron, you're talking about an absorption. Why is that the most important? It's
I mean, I
already-
don't consider it.
No, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying, why would it even be seen? I can't see how these. I can see, for example, actually, Ron, to your point, and even though I'm sure Gemini wasn't thinking about it, the NVIDIA Hugging Face and the potential for monopoly, as a problem, that actually then becomes a landmark potential acquisition, right?
Well, I can see why SpaceX is important. That cursor.
But if SpaceX is the absorption, not an acquisition.
Well, but cursor
already
is.
had it.
But it is still
Yeah,
important. I would argue that. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, Cursor was a $60 billion acquisition.
Why is Google's
Yeah.
purchase
That's
of
as big as
Wiz
I've ever
so
seen.
important?
Well, I would, the other one was Qualcomm modular, right? Because that was a pretty big one too. It was like nearly 4 billion, I think.
What? How 34 billion?
No, near.
Oh,
near
3 or 4.
Yeah,
Okay.
near 4-ish.
I can see where the SpaceX is the cursor, because Grok, at least right now, Grokbot is what everybody was talking about until like yesterday, and then all this stuff happened. And it seems to be getting a lot of positive reviews. So I can see why. And I think Elon, anything that Elon's involved in, particularly when it comes to AI stuff, you can't ignore it. I mean, I don't necessarily like the dude, but you can't ignore what he's done by any stretch.
I ignore him.
You can try though.
Well, don't forget, this is the same AI platform that made Dave Smith look like Lou Gossett Jr.
No.
And chose a $32 billion purchase that happened like 2
Yeah, it
Well,
says
that-
226.
technically, that was announced in 25. Technically, that closed this year.
Oh, so
closed in
maybe
March.
that closing is.
Yeah.
Man, you got to be so specific about these prompts you
Yeah.
make. You're right.
Gotta
That's
prompt
right.
it, man.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I'm sorry. It's me. All right. So which acquisition do you think is important, even though it didn't make this list? Like, very important.
I'm with Ron on the Stripe one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what about this? Well, this one is probably last year too. The ServiceNow Armis one.
Yeah, they had a couple of them last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
ServiceNow
true.
Armis was like that was over 7 billion, I think.
Hey, Christine,
It
you have
clo- and
anything
it
to
cloed
say
this
about
year.
it? You're
Yeah.
out there. If
Christine,
you're
yeah,
still
you're
out
out
there,
there.
Christine.
I mean, it
comment
closed this
about it.
year, and it was a big
It
acquisition.
was a big one. All right, folks. Any last words from each of you before we bring on the second clip?
Last words. That sounds.
That's really
Well,
bad.
what your last call? What's your last call?
No,
I want Paul to have a pro Red Sox tag.
that will never happen.
And you
As
know,
well, no.
Ron,
Red Sox.
I wanna really get rid of my tag, but that will happen once Aaron Donald does come back. Then I can get rid of that tag.
Yeah, we've been waiting for that for 6 months. haven't
Yeah,
we?
it's been very long. Anyway, all right. Thank you for you guys
That
being
was awesome.
the first shift for last call.
Woohoo!
We'll do it next month sometime. I think
Yeah.
we all like this so far, unless these next group comes in and just completely like bombs.
Well, you do have
Well, I
some
mean-
questionable characters in the next group. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
they're second, so you know.
Yeah, is Pete there? Yeah, we got to that. All right. So
This is fun, guys. Thank you.
Christine agrees
That
with
was it, yes.
Michael.
thanks, guys.
Christine did comment. She says she agrees with you, Michael.
I'm not surprised.
There it is. All right. We'll let them
There's
go.
some very good commentary, by the way, running through the side, on the side there.
There is?
Yeah. You
Good.
can't see.
Well, I mean, somebody, I think I know who it is, by the way.
Who? Oh, I think that was Shashi.
It, I know it was shot.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's bring it. Oh, wait, Ron, you're still here.
I'm still here. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
go back and have some fun.
Yeah, enjoy San Diego, man.
All right, let's bring in the next crew. All right, we already started bringing in the next crew. And
You're
Mr.
working
Thomas
in a reverse
Wieberneit.
alphabetical order now.
Thomas Wieberneit, who is one of the cavalcade of hosts in the hot seat. There's a lot of them running around.
Skullduggery, cavalcade. This is high.
Speaking of skullduggery, the look who it is. It's Pete Smith, CEO of Spot Logic, and also a co-host of In the Hot Seat. Man, you guys got a lot of co-hosts.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
you are dominant. You're dominant.
You know who else is usually everywhere, but he's always everywhere with a smile on his face? Shashi Bellamkonda, who is the host of Talking Headless. Hey, Shashi.
Hey, everyone.
Great job.
Yes, sir.
You know what? This is a slightly bigger crew, I think, because we've got Rebecca Wettemann from The Crunch with Patrick. Patrick is here too.
She's representing her, Patrick, and Lou Gossett Jr.
Luke, wow, that's
I'm
a lot
not
of
letting it up.
representation.
I'm not letting go.
You're not letting go of Lou.
No,
All right. Well, last and certainly not least, damn, another In the Hot Seat host. It's like they just multiply. They just show up. But we like when Jody Spencer shows up, so that's okay. Hey, Jody.
All right.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah.
We are a force to be reckoned with in the hot seat.
All right, now you guys
Guggery.
have a lot to live up to because Christine said that was a really great convo. So, so we'll see what we got. All right. First off, do you guys want to comment on anything that just took place? Is there anything you want to get your 2 cents in on?
Yes.
A little more skullduggery.
Jody, you said yes.
Yes. Because I was like trying to like get comments in. You were talking in the last episode because when you were talking about the top acquisitions.
Oh, let me bring that up.
The one that was, I don't think we spent enough time talking about on any show, and QAI, that acquisition and that technology, like that's one that was really eye-raising for me when I really understood what that was and the.
Tell us a little bit more about that because I'll be honest, I don't know much about that one.
So Apple bought them back at the beginning of the year, and it is this technology that basically watches your facial expressions, if you will, and it's almost like trying to gauge what you are feeling and what you're thinking based off of your facial expressions. So Apple buys that. Think about all of the things that they offer, right? You have the glasses, you have a lot of different things coming out. I just think it's very creepy that there's this technology that is gauging what you're thinking and feeling and put into devices that people may not necessarily really be thinking about.
Did anybody else see the movie Don't Look Up?
With who?
Oh, that was I remember seeing that one. Yeah, that was actually really interesting.
Yeah, it's the
No,
exact
I
same
didn't.
thing.
Is that
Oh,
what that
yeah,
was?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, wasn't Leonardo what's his face in that one?
DiCaprio?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Da Vinci, no.
No.
I know.
No, but
Nobody
it was
mistakes
like
each other.
it was done as a satirical look at how badly technology could evolve and how bad that is for humanity. And here you have the privacy company Apple, getting into that business
That is true.
of skullduggery or whatever it is they call it.
Well, do you give them a pass because Apple has been much better on the privacy than a lot of these companies? Do you give them a pass?
No. What you want to follow my face around and try and guess what I'm thinking?
No, you can just stop right and follow your face around.
Yeah,
Pete.
exactly.
The answer is no.
You lost
Okay,
me
first,
at
wait.
face.
I do have to say, just because I talk to you weekly, Pete, we don't need any AI to interpret what your face is saying because it is super clear.
I also heard they don't
But
need
there's
any.
a-
They don't need any agentic Pete's running around either. I heard something about that.
But there's actually like personal intelligence, I feel, is going to be really big. It may not necessarily have to do with the face, but whatever device that you're going to use is going to give you the right answer based on what you've been doing.
Yeah.
Like Google also does that. If you have a Google
Or
Pixel,
Meta.
it literally can tell you what you've been doing, where you've been, and probably even predict like, hey, don't go on this route. There is likely to be an accident. Who wouldn't want that, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's
In
also
general,
been
it's
for
a good
years.
thing to
I don't know if
ask.
we. Well, go ahead, Thomas. Go ahead.
In general, it's a good idea to be able to ask a device that you have on you to explain you what you are currently seeing. And if it's only a funny sign that is written in a language that I don't understand, to just translate me where I'm transgressing at this very point in time. So I think it's, apart from the privacy implications that I'm not sure of, depending on the application, a good thing.
Well, here's the other side. I mean, we've been living with a different sense of that, meaning an actual sense, for years. I mean, there's been dozens of companies, I think Cogito among others, who are basically interpreting emotional tone of voice, right? And it's not just because it's not a face doesn't mean it can't be read, you know. And that's what it's literally been doing. And it does it in, I mean, in Cogito's case, it started out in a totally different on the medical side, but it ended up doing customer service, right? So an agent would listen to a tone of voice of a customer and could thus then would what ultimately I think Cogito became AI, but wasn't back then. Got a series of options of saying, given the mood of, you know, given the state of this customer, here's some of the things you could suggest, right? Things like that were going on, but that kind of interpretation of voice has been around for a decade at least, and maybe longer, and nobody complains about it, right? It's just there. So what would be okay? So in that, what's the difference?
Well, I was just going to say there are times that I do wish that the sentiment analysis piece of what you basically just described, when you think about the emails, right? You read an email, it can be misinterpreted in many ways because you're not understanding the tone that's coming through. So to what you just said, you know, the difference for me is when you speak, you're putting something out there, right? Like you're speaking and you're giving, I don't want to say approval, but like you're saying it's okay to understand and hear how I'm feeling, as opposed to nuanced facial expressions. I think that's just to me, that's just different. It's not me giving you approval to hear or take what I'm saying a certain way, right? My face is my face. I just think that's weird. Just me personally.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to stop with phones. Your car is watching you all the time.
Yeah.
The mall is watching you all the time. And I mean, they don't ask you for permission, right? It's somewhere, there's a notice board somewhere that says the minute you enter this building, you're going to be monitored. I think we should figure out how to use it positively for all of us. And that's where I think, for example, Paul's example, I'm sure if it's not already here, every sales call, the salesperson is going to ask some form of AI, hey, do you think I'm going to win this deal or not? Based on both sentiment, facial expressions, and everything else. Maybe good for, companies who have a lot of salespeople.
Well, you know what? Actually, to your point, Christy, too. Jody, to your point too. There was a company which got acquired by Qualtrics called Clarabridge years ago. One of the best technologies I've ever seen. Right? I knew Sid Banerjee, who's CEO, lives in this area. We're all friends. Actually, he used to come over and drink with me. Actually, so but the technology, the brilliance of it was that they were interpreting effectively anything ranging from emails to social media messages, but it would be text in some form, taking into account not only in 24 languages, but taking into account the cultural context for each of the countries that they were interpreting from. But they do, again, it's kind of the first thing. And again, one of the greatest technologies I've ever seen work, because it worked. You actually were able to interpret, based on culture, tone, everything that you read, what someone was thinking and doing and acting on. So, and it goes to all the points going on here. This stuff's been around a long time, and at this point, to be honest, much as let's say we all hated it, and we started a campaign to stop it, not going to work, right? We're not going to be able to stop it, right? I don't hate it, frankly. It's just, as Ed Thompson said years and years ago, if you don't want it known on the internet, don't put it out there, right? It's as simple as that. He said, don't write it, is the way he used it, because that's all you could do back then.
I want to. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I want to ask Thomas and Rebecca. We've been having this. There's a reason, Thomas. We're talking about all these companies. NVIDIA, Anthropic, OpenAI. All this. Are we overlooking Apple as a company that could set the table for AI? We just saw them come out with the, just kind of by surprise. It looked like everybody in the Apple world was completely surprised that they announced these brand new Mac Minis and Mac Studios with these. I think it was the M6 Ultra chip.
No,
for local AI processing. I think the
M6 and M5 Ultra.
Yeah,
and M5 Pro, and
they're all basically there because the capabilities of processing local AI. People seem to be really enamored of these things. I almost bought one myself, but I'm not ready to spend 10 grand. I don't know when I'll be ready to spend 10 grand. But there are people that are willing to spend 10 grand to run all this stuff locally because then they don't have to worry about the token costs. Are we overlooking Apple's importance in the spread of AI and the relevance of it? Not just from a individual personal, but will enterprises start doing more because they can afford some of this stuff and they can do it and have a better check on some of the costs that go along with these things?
There's a difference between affording the performant hardware that does it and being able to manage this themselves. And that's something Apple's not going to be able to do. Even Apple's not running mostly their own AI at this point, right? Siri's a disaster. They're going to Google.
It's
Not
been
to
a
mention their
disaster.
customer support.
Yeah.
They have it.
So I think Apple is not a serious player in the game. They may be interesting from a hardware perspective, but if I'm going to run my own model, maintain my own model, keep it from creeping, doing all of the other things that I have to do to run AI effectively locally, I got to have a lot of people, and I'm probably not in the right business.
Thomas.
Well, let me start with Christie's comment. I sent my avatar, so it's not really me. I am of a similar opinion as Rebecca is. I do not really consider Apple an AI company. And yes, Siri is a disaster. And why the freak did they ever get the idea of choosing Gemini of all to power their AI? This is almost as bad as going Grok. So of the ones that I'm using, Gemini is the one I revert least to.
Why is that? What does it do badly?
Everything. It's not.
I'm not going to go there.
It's not.
It does some good stuff.
It's not even able to take a Google document that I get sent to by someone. Rebecca, you know the story. And
yes.
extract the calendar dates out of it and put it into my freaking calendar.
Okay.
But it'll do it for my calendar, just not Thomas's calendar.
Really not.
Its calendar is German. You got to change it, man.
Yeah, maybe I should have told the thing that the English that got sent to me is the same English that is the American English language my calendar is set to, which is not the kind of English that I personally speak. But no, really, this. Apple is not exactly Apple is a UI, not an UI, an AI consumer actually. Yeah. So they are likely very good at augmenting what is there and putting that into very reasonable use cases. But they are not an AI company.
Interesting. Okay.
Hey Pete, what do you think?
Oh God, it pains me to say this, but I agree with Thomas.
Shit.
But
what am I doing wrong today?
I do hugely in favor of this idea that there's going to be localized AI, and that's going to be where the growth is. Whether like when I interrupted Rebecca earlier talking about the how bad Apple's service is. If you've ever tried to get through their circular logic of log in this way, but you've got to have this, you got to be on the system to have it's a complete nightmare, right? So if they were ever going to offer support for something even more complicated than a mobile phone, that would just be it. So it might not be Apple, but I can definitely see a huge migration of AI. In fact, one of our in the hot seat topics today was the Gartner article about the inference paradox and how just this in agentic AI, at least the cost of tokens can just be a runaway, unpredictable nightmare. And so, that's not going to go unaddressed, right?
Yeah.
And you can only, if you're a general provider, you can't just drop your price to zero for tokens and as your response to, we can't predict how much this is going to cost. So it's going to be a different architecture, I think.
Well, and another thing I'll add to this is, especially around Apple, I mean, a lot of what we're seeing, is, let's say, AI companies aligning themselves with enterprise players who have been around a while, and they're business technology companies of one form or another. Apple's never played well in the enterprise ever, and they never will. That the problem is every company that, say, the Anthropics of the world are partnering with and so on are already playing well in that world, right? So it's not like Apple would literally have to gain a foothold just to start, and they don't have one. It's not even close. I mean, who in the right mind would use a Mac Studio at a manufacturing company unless you're a graphic designer of a piece of equipment, right? And even then, you're using AutoCAD probably. So, so it just doesn't play. I do think it's interesting, and I do think that with iOS 27 and Mac OS, whatever the next version of it's going to be called, whatever the tree will be, it's going to have an improved AI capability, but it's not. It's amateur, basically.
So we need to land this ship, but because there's a lot of people that want to go back to the NVIDIA Hugging Face and the Claude Force. So let me just ask you guys, and then you can have at it. What impact in the industry do you think Claude Force will have? And not just on the success of Salesforce, but does it have impact to shift the whole industry, the competitive landscape? What do you guys have to say? Whoever wants to go for it.
I think CIOs love that because before they announced this, they all were trying to figure out how to give Claude to all their employees so that it would connect to Salesforce. And that wasn't very easy at all. So Salesforce customers, I think it's a big win. So that I think is the impact to the industry where you're a Salesforce customers. But it doesn't answer the question if you have other agents that are accessing Salesforce. It doesn't answer that question. Right?
Yes. And I think too, the question of what data is outside Salesforce is really important too, because if you look at so many of the conversations that we're having, they're about CRM and CX use cases. But if you go back to what were the really valuable acquisitions, I'd look at Armis and Veza as real ones that ServiceNow picked up to be able to do the permissions at the granular level they need for it to access data in a headless environment from any system, not just a CX system. And I think there's probably another level of security from Okta or somebody else that somebody like Salesforce would be wise to pick up to be able to provide that same kind of level of granularity and control.
Yeah, you got to think about the devices interactions, not just the AI interacting with humans and other AIs. Yeah.
The other thing I think is going to be interesting too is to see there's going to be some real channel or even interdepartmental conflict going on at Salesforce, because right now Anthropic has sales agents built on Slack. So a customer now has to decide, am I a Salesforce customer primarily? Am I running this on an agent force, or am I getting it from Claude Force, which is on Slack? And what does that look like architecturally for me?
And there's still a lot of standalone Slack
conversations.
Aren't there still a lot of standalone Slack users? Like They're
Mhm.
just there for Slack. They haven't really used Salesforce.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now you've got Slack and now Anthropic. Some of those folks, I'm guessing, are going to want to be able to just use those two things outside of Salesforce.
Yeah. And this was the best net new Slack user acquisition or license revenue quarter since the acquisition of Slack, the quarter they announced yesterday.
For Salesforce, this is a good way of getting those Slack users that Rebecca just mentioned into Salesforce, into the fold. So that is, from that perspective, it's quite good. It's also quite good from the conversationist, the UI perspectives. Not the UI is the AI, so that's a bullshit line of many of, sorry. It's getting it out more where the user actually is. Yeah, so that's the important part. To what Sashi just said, so the CIO probably loves it, the users probably will love it too, the CFO should get gray hair. Because right now there's an open checkbook. This is what Pete referred to our earlier topic with the inference paradox. So right now that will cause a steep rise in tokens used, and tokens don't get as much cheaper as the increase in usages. So that'll be a problem.
Well, actually, that's an interesting question too. Then I don't know the answer. Maybe one of you guys saw it somewhere. But how does this even get priced, or is it free? It just
They haven't said.
They haven't
no-
set
It's
pricing.
sad, yeah.
I know Salesforce said it's going to spend 300 million in token usage, or 300 billion.
I was going to say 300 million doesn't sound
300
like a
billion
lot.
in tokens. I don't know. It was a large number, and they were going to spend that. But that comes along with OpenAI and Anthropic's, like, everything they say. Okay, you'll spend 300 billion, we'll spend 500 billion with you. Somehow Anthropic is going to launch next week, claim what, 30 trillion is their market
TAM.
cap or something like that, or valuation, and
30
and
trillion.
and then and that's somehow what, going to fund the 50 trillion you've already committed to everybody else.
These numbers are really growing.
The numbers are so stupid. I mean, that part is just like, give me a break. No human in the right mind would want to agree to that. I'm thinking their numbers were probably AI generated too.
Let me ask you guys.
But
Claude did them.
Let me ask you guys, because we're right at the top of the hour. Final question: who had the bigger week, NVIDIA or Salesforce?
Anthropic.
No. We're going with the big guys.
Hugging face. Hugging
You got to
face.
choose one: Salesforce or NVIDIA.
NVIDIA.
Yeah, I think that the Claude announcement is just a risk mitigation strategy if OpenAI doesn't make it. Like that's what they use today, or have been using, right? And so they need to push the implementation of this multi AI, at the hub kind of strategy, and so I don't see this as like earth shocking in any way. And none of the things that Salesforce are doing are fixing the data problem, which is why the AI doesn't give you a good answer to begin with. So the eye isn't on the right ball there, whereas NVIDIA seems to know exactly where the ball is going.
And for me, it adds another layer for NVIDIA and moving into a different space, into a different area that it can begin to expand. I think, for me, NVIDIA is the winner.
Do we think they'll be able to go through, or do you think regulators will shut that
Well,
down?
that's what's sticking with me too.
Well,
when
I
Ron brought
think
that up.
I think it's more the European regulators more than the US, because somehow I think they'll be okay here. If
That's
can
why
get it
they
done.
haven't officially announced it, because they're waiting for a phone call from a particular house near my house.
He had to get his little. All right, I'm not going to say it.
The resident needs to say something. Yeah.
The venerable Paul Greenberg, NVIDIA or
No,
Salesforce?
it's absolute. Look, NVIDIA basically ends up controlling a central source of, LLM distribution. I mean, that's like holy crap level if they actually pull that off, right? So that is easily, the Salesforce thing's interesting, and it is beneficial to Salesforce and Anthropic too. But the reality is NVIDIA is like it's almost the level of a coup.
All right.
So
We went from skullduggery to levels of coup and all sorts of.
You have a good couple of clips to put on this one. There's some good snippets coming out of here.
Matter of fact, I see a couple of folks one folk that held over. Christy, I'm just going to bring you back in. Do you want to answer that last question? You want to answer that last question?
I agree with everything Jody and Rebecca said.
Oh,
Jody and Rebecca.
We love you, Christy.
Quite the coinky dinky there. All right, so we're officially done with the pilot. Thanks to all of you guys for trying this out, because literally we just threw it out there at one of our meetings and you guys said, yeah, let's try it. So before we turn everything off, feedback from just the crew here. What do you think?
Want to keep doing it?
Turned out way better than I expected. I was actually stressing coming up to this because I'm like, okay, we didn't prep. I don't know what questions are coming out. I was starting to panic.
So
But
Jody
the
studied for
free flow-
every possible question.
She's a control freak.
gotta go with the flow, Jody. Go with the
I know,
Jody
I'm-
just
I'm
read the whole
learning
internet.
Rebecca, does Patrick have any feedback for us?
Ingested the
He
interview.
thought it was riveting.
Fell asleep, huh?
Awesome.
Low-key.
All right.
Okay, well, you know what? If Rebecca send us, we use Mini for CRM players. Well, we need Patrick's picture for last call.
Oh, we did get some feedback from Christine. Thank you, Christine. Love the format.
Thanks, Christine.
Thank you. All right. Oh,
That's an affirmative. You're going with us next month.
Well, we had to end the show on a high note there. All right, so this has been the pilot episode for PPN's Last Call. Stay out on the lookout. I think there's going to be a follow-up. It sounds like there's probably going to be a follow-up. So thanks to Jody, Rebecca, Pete, Thomas, Shashi, Christy, Mike Fauscette. Who else was on that first one? Ron Miller. There's somebody else there. Whoever you are, we appreciate you. And of course, on behalf of all of these folks, I'm Brent Leary.
I'm Paul Greenberg.
This is not the CRM Players, but we will be back maybe next week. So we'll see you then.